Check out carmarshal.com. The link is in the description. They help support us.
The fact they were subpoenaed.
Sorry, I didn't want to tell me anything about his bike. So, okay. You got a minute? Hey, why don't you have a seat in the back of my squad for me? Don't worry, you don't have to answer any questions. Now, you want to answer some questions, or driving without registration? Or would you just prefer to be taken to jail and your vehicle be towed? There. You can be in cuffs then. Hop out. Give me the phone.
At the gas station.
There. Step out. We'll do it a different way. Put your hands down your back. Somebody can come get his bike? No, the bike is going to stay. We don't know whose it is. Oh. Why do you need back? Well, I guess we don't know. Let's see. Vehicle's going to be towed for lack of registration. He doesn't want to tell me anything about the bike. Why do you do it that way? You know what? You don't want to cooperate? I don't need to cooperate. I got nothing to say. That's fine. No, he won't tell me. You got a wallet or anything? Hey, sit up. You got a wallet or anything? What's that?
Nobody cares what you think.
We do not consent to anything.
I do not consent to anything.
We don't care.
I do have rights.
Yes?
I have rights.
Okay.
I have
Go to jail. Get the squad.
There's nothing I can do to help.
What law did I break?
What
law did I break?
Tell me
Is he under arrest or
Okay. What law? Driving without registration.
Was I driving?
Okay. Argue in court. Get in. Get in.
I like to talk to my parents.
Where are your parents?
Let me talk to them on the phone. That's
Where they at? Who are you?
I'm just a friend.
Who is he?
He's a friend.
Nope.
I can't talk to him?
No.
Greg, is your bike registered?
It's not.
It's not registered?
Your registration?
No, but isn't that a...
Are you his lawyer?
No, I'm just asking a question. Don't be rude. I was just
He's
asking
been
a
rude.
question.
We could have taken
Okay,
care
but
of
I'm
it.
not. Is his bike
Okay.
not legal?
207, 209, 617 West 64th Street for disturbance. Callers, 14 years old, advisors 3 subjects, other juveniles harassing the complainant's little sister, advisor 6 and shovels involved. 14433. That's one. 209, did you have it? Not up.
Thank you, guys. This is for car stalking motorcycle and reasonable.
10-4, I have this.
John, King, Boy, Zebra, X-Ray, John, Boy, 163, Adam, 004427. Is he buying the bike from you or something? Huh? Is he buying the Why would he say that? I didn't ask you if you heard him say it.
Well, I can't tell you why he said it.
Why,
If he
in your
did,
mind,
I don't
do you
know why
think
he
he might
said
say
that.
that?
I don't think he would. Yeah.
Okay. So, why did he take his plate off?
Because he's in the process of doing work on it. And he just didn't get it on. No, I mean, I'm curious. Let me take this. This is my bike.
No.
This is my bike.
I don't care.
Man.
You got registration for it?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Got everything for it.
You do it.
Yeah, it's my bike. I swear to God. Only numbers I...
This is March 19th, 2017. My name is Dr. KENNETH. I'm a family man. I've been here in Iowa for a couple of decades. I'm a veteran and I'm an American, and I'm disgusted with the financial practices and un-American activities that I see here in Scott County, Iowa. There are many good, decent citizens here in Scott County, Iowa that deserve honest financial accounting. I want to talk about a conspiracy to convict in the Scott County District Court of Iowa. I taught my son to follow the law. The law says we have a right to remain silent. Davenport police converted this right into a crime, harassment of a public official. This was a pretext for further government overreach and abuse. They also charged my son with operation without registration, and they knew that this was a false charge. The Davenport police filed a false report, which led to the Scott County Attorney's Office filing a fraudulent trial information. Judges and justices violated their oaths of office to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. They deprived this citizen of rights, denied him due process of law, and they defrauded us all of honest government services. Here is an impounded vehicle report that was issued by the Davenport Police Department, Jasmine Fontaine, number 1169. She issued this to the registered owner of the vehicle that they illegally impounded off of private property. The reason for them impounding it, they claimed it was inoperable. If you see Fred's Towing Incorporated report, you will see the reason being inoperable. But this right here was issued to the registered owner, Brian Inman, on October 24th, 2016, the very next day after they kidnapped my son and held him for ransom. This evidence is that they knew the vehicle was registered, and yet they continued to charge him with this false and fraudulent charge. What you're going to see is you're going to see my son exercising his right to remain silent. And you're going to see and witness from the Davenport Police Department's own dash cam recorders that they kidnapped this young man and they trespassed on his rights. And what you're not going to see is any evidence of operation or anything that substantiates the fraudulent charges that they pursued all the way through a jury trial. They withheld information, they rigged the jury. The jury never got to see this impounded vehicle report. It was a conspiracy to convict by lawyers. You had a lawyer judge, a lawyer prosecutor, and a lawyer state public defender. All frauds acting under color of law. Under Iowa Code 66.10, the governor of Iowa has the authority to take action. His chief legal counsel, Larry Johnson, denied this. Under Iowa Code 331.754 subsection 1, the Scott County Board of Supervisors, they have the authority to appoint a special prosecutor. They've been asked to appoint a special prosecutor because the district attorney's office has a conflict of interest, which is a disability. Greg repeatedly stated in his pro se pleadings that he did not want the state public defender representing his case. he repeatedly demanded his rights to self-defense and his right to be heard. This was not happening in Iowa. They deprived him of these rights. He had the Sheriff's Department serve subpoenas on Jasmine Fontaine to come and testify as to the impounded vehicle report, just verifying the fact that this actually took place. You can cross-reference the VIN number on this here. With the VIN number, you hear the officer in the tape calling in, verifying and confirming registration. They absolutely knew the vehicle was registered. Why didn't the jury get to hear this? Why were no witnesses there to testify despite the fact they were subpoenaed? Okay, this is Dr. KENNETH. This is April 27th, 2017. The segment number 2 for conspiracy to convict in Scott County District Court, Iowa. In the previous video, you heard me speak of the Davenport Police filing a false report, which led to the Scott County District Attorney filing a fraudulent trial information, and state judges and justices joining the act by violating their oath of office, and a rigged jury system that wrongfully convicted an innocent citizen who was systematically deprived of rights, denied due process of law, and we were all defrauded of honest government services. Now, on the date that my son was kidnapped, arrested, and held for ransom, bail, he was standing on private property. The police officers videotaped the camcorders. They didn't show him operating anything, yet he was arrested for operation without registration. The pretext for the arrest was harassment of a public official because the police officer began asking him questions for no apparent reason. My son just simply exercised his right to remain silent. And the Davenport police at that point in time converted that right into a crime of harassment of a public official, which was a pretext for further aggression, government overreach, and abuse. They subsequently charged him with operation without registration. They also charged him with operating a motor vehicle while under suspension, and they did a search and seizure that was unwarranted, and they allegedly found a gram of cannabis or marijuana. So we went through a jury trial, and I was really perplexed at how you could find somebody guilty. By the way, the judge dismissed the suspension, operating under suspension, and he dismissed the harassment charge, which was the pretext for all the other charges, which stands logically that the rest of it would be dismissed. But they went ahead and had a jury trial, and what they did is they withheld exonerating and exculpatory evidence. Now, I previously showed you this impound vehicle report, which is only issued to registered vehicle owners. This was issued the very next day by Jasmine Fontaine, 1169 from the Davenport Police Department to Brian Inman, the registered owner. What we didn't see earlier, and what I'm going to show you now, is the Davenport Police case report. In his narrative on page 3 toward the bottom, it says, after returning to the station, Brian Inman came to the lobby and had the registration paperwork for the bike showing he was the owner. And he had the assigned plates for the bike, which expired in 2017, which will be this year. This happened back in October 23rd of 2016 by the Davenport Riverfront Bike Park. Okay? So here you have a Davenport police case report that confirms they knew the bike was registered. So how can they charge somebody with operation without registration when clearly the bike was registered? You've got evidence that it was registered in addition to the camcorder recordings from both police squad cars including Officer Howell. You could hear him calling in the VIN number, cross-checking, verifying, confirming the bike was registered. What we also have here, interestingly enough, is Fred's Towing impound invoice. And at the top it says the reason for impound, inoperable vehicle. That pretty much negates operation, doesn't it? And they have nothing to prove otherwise. They've got absolutely nothing. And we also have an affidavit that was filed in the court. This is a notarized affidavit filed in the Clerk of Court's office at Scott County, February 1st and February 2nd. It clearly states, at no time did Gregory Tennant operate that motorcycle. Well, I had a feeling that we were going to need to subpoena the people that were associated with these documents in order to get it in front of the jury. So we had the Sheriff's Department under Tim Lane subpoena Jasmine Fontaine and Fred's Towing, and later on Judge Mark Lawson quashed those subpoenas and the return of service. And I didn't know it at the time, but I know it now, and that explains why there was no testimony given to the jury regarding this. But I was quite perplexed at a conviction. How could you convict somebody of operation without registration, let alone any of the other things that they were charging him with? Because there just was not evidence. There was no facts involved. So, for asking those questions, and as you know, I had tried to get this investigated by calling the governor's office and speaking with Larry Johnson, asking them to exercise their authority under Iowa Code 66.10. I also addressed the Scott County Board of Supervisors, asking them to appoint a special prosecutor. Nothing was going on. They're very unresponsive. They're not going to do anything to investigate themselves. I've sent out registered, return mail, certified mailings, asking for judicial notice of these documents. Nothing's going on. So anyway, I went home and I sent a request for an opinion that reads, "Thank you for your service as a juror these past 2 days. It was interesting that the video evidence was requested for reviewing. In that video, you hear Greg stating he doesn't answer questions. He is not wrong to say this. Miranda rights support this. The attorney on Greg's case perhaps was less than effective in conveying that to the jury. We were also concerned that the evidence on audio of Brian Inman, who owned the bike in question and was there, was edited or not presented. He told officers that the bike belonged to him. Brian Inman signed the notarized affidavit and filed it with the court last month. He stated at no time did Greg ever operate his bike. Can you please state what it was that led the jury to ask for the video? Thank you for your time and consideration, Dr. Kenneth Tennant." I say search Kenneth Tennant, U.S. versus Veterans and the First Amendment, and see American Veteran Discarded and Forgotten by Gary Null. Well, when I went to speak to the Scott County Board of Supervisors on the 21st of March, I was met at the back of the room by Sheriff Tim Lane, who wanted to make sure that I got a copy of this order from the Iowa District Court for Scott County. Now, nowhere on this order will you find my name. It wasn't, as far as I know, it wasn't for me. This was the State of Iowa plaintiff versus Gregory Francis Tennant, which, by the way, under the 11th Amendment, this kind of a case is prohibited by the 11th Amendment, and under 18 U.S.C. 1001, these types of cases are frauds, where you have an imaginary plaintiff, as in an all-capital corporate entity. This is an order prohibiting contact with jurors, and you can see this is stamped up here in the corner, a true copy. This was given to me on this date, which is March 21st, and it's got bailiff Sheriff Deputy Huff's name 8263 on here. And it states that any person who violates this order is subject to punishment for contempt of court. If you contact a juror, well, I never contacted a juror. I contacted a former juror. Okay, the case was over with. So I was not trying to harass him or trying to influence the outcome of his or anybody else's decision. Clearly, if you read the email, which I will have posted for you, you can see that this is not the case. But that doesn't matter in Iowa. Evidence and facts do not matter in the courts of Iowa. There was an order issued to arrest me on a fabricated charge of tampering with witness or juror under Iowa Code 720.4. $2,000 cash only, it was ordered. So when I was arrested, I had spent over 21 hours sitting on a cold steel chair in Scott County's jail. And here you see the official charge count. Tampering with a witness or juror. And again, there's no facts or evidence to support this. It's a ridiculous fabrication. It's an attack on my First Amendment right to ask questions, and nowhere do you see any harassment. Now this complaint from the Scott County Sheriff's Department was filed by Tim Ells, who claims that I tampered with a witness or juror by harassment with the intent to improperly influence them. That's just an absolute fabrication. It's a fantasy. It's a lie. It's misinformation. It's false information. It's a fabrication to suppress the First Amendment. They don't want to be investigated for the crimes that they have perpetrated in wrongfully convicting my son. I hope you take note of this as you see more and more Americans are being oppressed and suppressed, and our rights are hanging in the balance, so to speak. Greg went for sentencing the other day, and the judge absolutely refused. Mark Ray Lawson absolutely refused to hear the exonerating evidence. We tried everything we could to get the exonerating evidence, which includes Fred's towing, the Davenport Police's own report, etc., etc., etc. He absolutely, because people like Tom Waterman have to have a job at the Supreme Court, Daryl Hecht, etc. Every one of them sitting on the Supreme Court, they are all frauds under color of law. Most of these judges in Iowa are frauds acting under color of law. I believe this to be true. My name's Dr. Ken Tennant. Have a nice day.
County, this is Charlotte County Cop Watch, and I wanted to explain what fair use is. You can use pieces of news articles if you're doing it for news reporting, you have commentary, and you're doing it for education purposes. So that's what fair use is, as you can see right here. Another reason why I wanted to make this video is to let you know I have just joined with Patreon. A nice thing with Patreon, I make no money on YouTube. They took the money away years ago, and so this is another way to give, and it's a nice thing too, because you can give monthly. You can give $1, $5, $10, whatever. I do 4 to 5 hours a day on trying to wake the sheeple up on how corrupt it is and different ways that you can fight the corruption. So Patreon is a way that you can do it, and then of course the old way is still there. Donate to Charlotte County Cop Watch with PayPal or credit card. So keep that in mind. 4 to 5 hours a day. I make no money, but the corruption happened to me, and I'm sick of it, so I'm trying to wake people up. But my wife would love it if some, you know, if we could get some help out there. There's 47,000 subscribers. Just think if each one of you subscribers just gave a, let's say, actually, yes, $1 a month. 47,000 subscribers gave $1 a month. That would be awesome. That's not going to happen. But anyways, that would be great if it did happen. But, you know, do the math in your head. Just think about it. Like I said, 4 to 5 hours a day. I get no money from YouTube. YouTube has gone nuts. You can't do anything anymore. They're taking the money away everywhere. So these are a couple different ways that you can still help out with all this time that I put in. And as you know, I'm in a special situation where, you know, at least I can do it. You know, 4 to 5 hours a day. We have a cleaning company during the day. That's what allows me to do this, and we're debt free. So this is my hobby. I don't go fishing and all that other crap. I try to save the world. So help me out to make the wife happy, man. In fact, if you guys did give $1 a day, and there was 47,000 of you, and you did it, and each of you gave $1, and that was every month, oh my God, yes, I could quit. I could start suing them. Another idea too that we have is, you know, if I got, you know, some funds, we could actually contact everyone that has been ticketed and or arrested and put in jail and start sending them postcards to let them know we're here, and to see if everything went all right, and if it didn't, find out their story. So we could even do more investigations and more lawsuits. Lawsuits take money. So just think about that. You know, 47,000 of you so far right now. You know, $1 a day. I mean, $1 a month on Patreon, or $5 a month Patreon, 10, 20, whatever. Just do the math in your head, help out. This is a lot of work every single day. Thanks.